Smile like you mean it, because somebody told me we're doing another music episode. If you're hesitant to that, then change your mind, because our little midnight show is going to do it anyway. But hey, look on the Mr. Brightside. If all these things that I've done, this may rank on top. Believe me, Natalie, everything's going to be all right. It's The Killers. Hot Fuss. This week on Nothing Good.
Well, good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to another episode, another fantastic intro by one Mr. Brown. Mac, Jeff, how you guys doing today?
Doing great. Episode 35. Here we are.
Oh, yeah.
Fan-fucking-tastic, gentlemen. Fan-fucking-tastic today.
Our episode numbers are
our show is now the stage where it can start thinking about AARP.
Yeah,
that's
right.
exciting.
That's what I'm saying. Our show numbers are actually approaching our actual ages rapidly. So pretty soon our show's going to have to really start thinking about its 401k and its long-term prospects. Eventually, our show's going to have to try to move in with its spin-off show, but then it's going to be put in an assisted listening facility. That's my theory.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, Jeff and I were hanging out this afternoon. We went to the good old Penguin game, and we were talking about the podcast, and we kind of came to a conclusion here, gents, and there's equal parts excitement and sadness in the statement that I'm about to make. We have all kind of come to the conclusion, and Jones, you might be the only person who can maybe even buck this trend, but Noah, does your beautiful, wonderful wife listen to the podcast?
No. She has expressly stated that why would she listen to it? She hears it every day anyway because I don't stop talking.
Jeffrey, does your beautiful, wonderful, fantastic wife listen to podcast?
She does not. A couple of times she's been like, you know what? I was going to start listening, but then I remembered I hate podcasts and I see and hear you all the time. So I'm not going to listen to it. So that's fair.
Jones, does your beautiful, wonderful, fantastic wife listen to the podcast?
She has. And interestingly enough, compared to what she thinks you guys are hilarious, so she enjoys listening to you more than she enjoys listening to me. But I like maybe an episode partially here and there, but she has dug into it a little bit at my behest.
My beautiful, wonderful, amazing girlfriend has listened to 1.5 episodes of the podcast. Now, the reason why I bring this up is that as we're getting up to episode 35 now, I know the number of downloads and listens have grown, and our audience has grown a little bit here over the last few months. None of that is coming from our significant others.
No, they do not support us.
Not even in the slightest. So I find that to be equal parts interesting because, the people that are listening to this are not necessarily people that know each of us. Mm-hmm. But also, our numbers would be way better if our significant others listened to every episode of the podcast. So I just kind of thought that was interesting.
That is interesting. That is a good point. I mean, yeah, they'll be the first ones to yell at us for not being supportive, but damn it. I feel like there's some there's a lesson to learn there. There is something that we should all never mention, though. Can you imagine when I was trying to be like, you know what? You never support me in my shitty fucking podcast, and I gotta support your multi-level marketing opportunity that you gotta try to sell me on all the time that I gotta pay a subscription for. But no, you do you. No, I would get punched in the fucking mouth. Is what would happen.
Right in the
Johnny
mouth.
Cage. You get Johnny Cage nut punch, like just drop right down into a slit and just boom.
No, she would do that thing that wives do, that they all have that power to do, where they wouldn't move, they wouldn't say anything, and they don't blink. They just look at you with the look that can only be described as this motherfucker. This motherfucker. And then you and your dick does the same thing that it does like whenever you see the flashing lights of a police behind you, like kind of goes inside you a little bit, like to protect yourself. Like, oh no, No, I'm not. You start apologizing. Even though you were right before you opened your mouth, you start fucking apologizing. Mm. Yep.
Your dick packs up your balls and leaves. Jeff.
Oh, I need you.
Jeff saw Stephanie give me that look several times today throughout the course of the hockey game.
It's true.
Yeah. But and listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting out here into the end of February. We just recently got past Valentine's Day, and I mention this, everyone, because one of our hosts here on Nothing Good had a very special, very unique, very loving tribute to his wife on Valentine's Day. Noah, would you care to tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, sure. I like to do fun tributes and videos for my wife on special occasions. Her birthday, I read her a poem about being old, and I think it was well received. And I thought, what better way to express your romance on Valentine's Day than to write her a rap song about John Stamos and how much I'd rather be with him than her. And it went over pretty well.
It was fantastically done.
It was so good. That's why I had to bring it up, because I watched this. I watched it several times and shared it with a few people as well. And bravo, sir, bravo.
Thank you. My wife tweeted it to John Stamos. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he didn't reply. Probably hasn't seen it. And the only serious note I'll make on it, he's been having a hard time lately. But whenever he comes back to the interwebs, it'll be there for him. And I just want to say, John, if you ever listen, I'll always be here for you. You can have all of specific parts of me, whatever you want. It's okay.
If we ever get a chance to do a full house episode, or without special guest John Stamos, there is an individual of a mutual friend of ours, a producer, a writer, comedian, an actress, Miss Catherine Johnson, who appeared with us
back in the origins,
back in the Dangerwood or beginning days, and she's expressed that she may have an interest in doing an episode with us here in the future. So,
well, Katie, if you listen to this, congratulations on your success. And I'm going to go ahead and say now it's a bad idea to associate with us. But you probably won't make it this far into the episode until you make that terrible decision. So, told you so. Yeah. But we're here, right? We're here now. We're doing another music episode, guys. But before we do, because we're talking about the Killers, it is one of our only customary traditions. Gents, what you drinking? Jafar, lead us off.
I am drinking a beer called Laser Raptors.
Nice.
Which is a double IPA from Aslan Brewing. For the artwork, it's basically a velociraptor and in a 1980s school photo laser background.
I love that.
That looks like the laser background, Noah, from Foosball, the real true story, when you're doing your afterburners.
Yep. Jeff and that design company probably all stole it from the same stock background.
It's true. It's always the same. But also, while we're looking at my screen, I just wanted to do some shameless self-promotion. I'm rocking some brand new Nothing Good merch here. The Grand Theft Auto t-shirt. One of many fine wares available on our website.
Yes, for sure. You can get the GTA logo all over and lots of other stuff. I'm sure a future episode I'll sport mine. I want the OG logo. We'll talk about it later. You got to start. It's got to start somewhere. But I will tell you that I'm not drinking beer. Last time we recorded, I drank 2 bottles of wine, and that was fun for the remainder of my day. But today, I decided I'm drinking a margarita.
Very nice.
Okay.
Because I fucking love tequila. And I felt we're in the heart of February. And god damn it, I want it to be summer so fucking bad. So I'm just going to do what I do every day and lie to myself about everything going on around me. And I'm going to act like it. So fucking cheers.
Doc, what are you drinking?
Drink that. So that's how I pronounce it. I don't know if it's Troppy or Tropy, but I assume it's Troppy Canyon. It's a citrus IPA from Heavy Seas Beer. I'll show you what it looks like here.
Oh, yeah.
It's very, very good. I've never had it before. Yeah, it's good.
Mac, what you having?
Well, no, as you mentioned here, you're waiting for it to be summer so goddamn bad that I'm going back to Outer Banks, and I am busted back out the Weeping Radish. So I'm having their Black Radish German Lager today. So not the first time I've had it. I got a couple of them left over, so I'm just going to make sure that I get them all drank before it's too late. So got some nice Outer Banks microbrew here today.
Beautiful. Well, I'm glad. We all wish it was a different weather than I think it is right now. And if you're one of those weird fucking people who loves the middle of February in the Northeast, I got nothing for you, man. Get the fuck out of here. You know, especially we're going to pack this episode here today. Mac raised his hand, so I'm going to go ahead and say, get the fuck out of here. It's all right. We got this. It's only your favorite fucking record, or one of them. So
it is one of them. Yes.
Yeah, but
it is absolutely one of them.
It's the Killers. Hot Fuss.
And man, is it a hot fuss.
It is. And let me tell you, this thing is a whole vibe. I'm telling you, like I was transported back to so many house parties and like driving to and from house parties while listening to this album.
Yeah.
Fucking killer. But let's start it off, Doc.
So how old were you guys when this album came out? How was it? I was 21 going on 22. So I was like right smack dab in that stage of life. I've only known you, Noah, and I knew Drew, you guys for just a couple years at this point. So we were super early in our friendship. Mac, I think I just got to know you. I was starting to get to know you pretty well. So, I mean, we were cool. Say we were like really, really good friends yet, but we were definitely friends at this point. Jeff, I still hadn't met you for like almost another year, I think, because I think I met you about 2005, I'm pretty sure, at some point
right
in
around there.
Yeah, so this whole period of life was just booze. House parties on Wednesday.
Just house parties.
Was
weekday drunk.
Oh man, it was a rough time. It was
weekday drunk.
How about you guys? Where were you in life when this album came out?
Well, Jones, since you and I are 2 days apart in age, I was also around 21, 22. This album came out at a time where the only time in my life I was unemployed is when this album came out. I remember, somebody told me being played on the X, and I'm driving around, and this was my dad's 96 Grand Am, the one that got brutally destroyed by a chance encounter with a grown ass deer one dark and stormy night.
Weren't you coming down 51 or something?
I was coming down 51. We had just finished playing a deck hockey game. And I remember I stayed behind for an extra like minute or two, right? And I stopped at like the BP, and this is out in Rostraver, right? And for those of you that may not know the Pittsburgh area, Rostraver is about a good 25 miles, 30 miles south of Pittsburgh. And there's a lot of farmland out in this area. So
whole lot of nothing.
There's a whole lot of nothing. And I stopped at a BP to grab a Powerade, and then just opened it up and never saw the thing come and hit that son of a bitch square right on the corner of the car, split the deer in half. Part of it bounced off my door and then backwards. The other one shot forward, totaled the car. I was very lucky that I walked away really with only a busted nose and a sprained wrist, but it was a hell of a thing. Never saw it coming. But yeah, I was unemployed at this time, and between jobs, just finished working at the ice rink, hadn't started working at Toys R Us yet. So Jeff, this was right around the time we're meeting, and this somebody told me, starts coming on the radio, and I'm like, what's this fucking band all about, So yeah, it was a really transitional time in my life because, most of the people that mean the most to me, I met around this time. Jones, you and I were getting to know each other through Whitfield. Mm-hmm. Noah, I didn't meet you until we both started working at Toys R Us together, which was right around this time. Well, that was
I don't know your
2003.
timeline here, pal. But
Yeah.
We had met each other. Yeah.
And we've been working together.
So were you? I mean, I don't want to get into the minutia of 2004 here, but were you not with the Rue in that summer when this came out? Had you not come back yet?
No, I was still. I mean, I was partial because I was working. I was lifeguarding.
Yeah.
I was lifeguarding full time during the summer and only working at the store a couple days a week, just to kind of maintain my status. But yeah. And I got this album from Ryan Whitfield. He let me borrow it, because I'm like, oh man, this band, The Killer. He's like, yeah, I got the album. You got to listen to it.
It would make sense that he would be the one to give you this album.
It would.
It would.
But I just remember when I listened to it, just each track, especially the first five or six on this album, just like it just exponentially like built from one to the other. And I just remember being like, by the time all these things that I've done comes on, I had to like step away. I was like, I just can't take any more of it. I can't, but yeah, that's where I was. So.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. For me, so it came out in 2004. I was 23 at that point. I was partying a lot, mid college years. My wife and I that was the early part of our relationship. We got together in 2001. So she was there and, we were just getting to know each other, meeting each other, all of us here at that time. So yeah, it was a good time. Your young 20s, especially for me, because I was, far from home. I was the kid who left to go to school, and I was sort of here on my own and finding my way through the city in the early 2000s. And by the time this came around, I had figured out who I was and where I was going, and sort of cemented myself here and started building this circle of friends back then. So yeah, it was a unique time in all of our lives. I think when you look back compared to now, I mean, I'm in my 40s now, so thinking back 20 years ago, it's a different time for sure.
Sure.
Real quick, Noah, real quick. Mr. Brightside was released September 29th, 2003.
Okay, so it preceded the whole album release, yeah.
So it did precede the album release, so I'm not that far off in terms of my timeline from what I was referencing. That does make a little bit more sense, because I did not know you guys when that song came out yet. I didn't start working at the U until
for another month,
a couple months later.
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense. A car accident and then all the drinking and partying we were all doing at that time in our lives, they kind of blend. They kind of go. But that was I was at the supple age of 19 when this album came out.
Small child.
I was 18 when Mr. came out. Now, this is interesting because it never really comes up a lot, but I am the youngest of the four of us. Not significantly. I'm not going to pull up a whole thing here, but it is enough to say, well, yeah, I was like literally when we first met each other in 2003, when I first met Mac and Jafar, I had just graduated high school, like a few months before that. I had met her when I was 16, 17, something along those lines. So in that vicinity, I think it was the month of my 17th birthday. But yeah, this was like one of those weird, like just discovering how to be not a kid. And I'm still working that out 20 years fucking later.
I'll drink to that too.
You'll get there someday. It takes a little while, but you'll get there.
Yeah, all of a sudden, I'm going to be like, oh, shit, I'm old. But working on it slowly. But no, yeah, it was time, man. Working at Toys R Us, the summer, chasing girls, trying my hardest, trying my damnedest, having weeknight parties with you fuckers.
The thing is, Noah, is that, as much as you were chasing the ladies, I distinctly remember a lot of those ladies were chasing you.
They follow me sometimes.
It was one of those things that several of us could not quite understand what was in the water, or where you were concerned. It's like so and so at the store. It's like, oh yeah, no, she's into Noah. Like, she's fucking crazy, but she's like sending Noah this, that, and the other thing, because we didn't really have like cell phones weren't quite the thing yet. So you weren't sending pictures or stuff to each other. You're lucky to have texts at that point.
Yeah,
you know. But like, yeah, you were slaying back in those days.
Did all right back in the day. At Toys R Us this summer that this came out was the first time that a girl ever took a picture of herself nude with the Toys R Us Polaroid camera that was branded with the Jeffrey background and left it in my locker for me, which was a nice discovery that summer. It was a weird time, but I enjoyed it.
I never heard that. I've never heard that story.
Yeah, it was nice. It was fun. Also, nice. related. I don't think you've ever had to been pulled in by the managers at Toys R Us that said, "Listen, you got to stop dating the women at Toys R Us because they're to break up with you. They're just quitting and not calling." And we can't handle the turnover, so please stop dating the women at Toys R Us. To which I said, "We'll see." As I sip my margarita, but it was a fun time. It was a fun time. A lot of parties, a lot of getting to know the people that would eventually, people that were like you're all wrapped up in, and we really haven't seen much since those days. Yeah. And then also the people that we've been the thick of us here, that we've been together forever. Since then, and we'll probably die old men remembering the time that we got so drunk at the Whitfield party that we had to hang on to the shag carpet so we didn't fall into the ceiling. Good time. But I gotta say, guys, so what was the first song that you heard from this band? Because this is a debut album, so presumably the first songs that we all fucking heard came from this record. So what was the first Killer song that you ever heard? Jafar, lead us off.
Yeah, so for me, Somebody Told Me was the first song that I remember hearing. I know Mr. Brightside was out before that, but I didn't recall hearing that or seeing it on TV or anything like that. But yeah, I remember, I think it was the X that played it when I heard it the first time. And it had a little bit of a different sound compared to everything that was out there. And, it's a band out of Vegas, so they have sort of that Vegas lounge singer swag that they were layering on to some rock, but also some like synth pop. And it was all sort of melding these genres together. And I dug it. Like I said, I think Mr. Brightside was a much bigger hit once it hit. But I think when I first heard Somebody Told Me, that Mr. Brightside hadn't quite hit the level that it ended up hitting shortly thereafter.
No, man. And that song still hasn't gone away.
No.
Will it ever? Time will tell. No. Doc, how about you? What's the first Killer song that you remember? Yeah.
Much like Jeff, I'm confident the first time I heard any of their music was on the radio. I'm pretty sure it was Somebody Told Me. That's the one that sticks out. And it could just be the one I've heard the most on the radio. Maybe that's what it is. But much like Mac, our mutual friend Ryan Whitfield, he had suggested the album to me, and I went out and bought it because at that time especially, like I was really exploring different types of music that I really didn't grow up listening to. So I was like, I kind of dug the vibe from Somebody Told Me, even though I didn't understand the song at all, but I really liked it, and I went and picked up the album. So and I'm all about blending genres and different sounds together, and sometimes it's a win, sometimes a loss. Not everything can be a hit. But yeah, definitely, I feel confident now, even saying it now, like Somebody Told Me is definitely what I heard first. What about you, Mac?
It's funny because like for some reason in my mind, Somebody Told Me was the first single off this album, and then Mr. Brightside was the second. Like that's kind of how I remember it. But in doing my research for this, that's not how it was. Mr. Brightside was definitely the first one, and it probably was. I'm going to say it was probably TRL. Because this video has Eric Roberts in it, and he's kind of the the pimp, if you will, the madam from the house, in the story that they kind of tell in the music video. So I think that's probably one of the first exposures I had to them. And then again, I was just listening to it on the radio, and it was one of those jokes where they used to be able to do like long distance dedications or something on the X.
Yeah.
And this one, and I remember driving, Jeff, I remember where I was when this happened. I don't know why I have such a vivid memory of this, but it was over by where you live now. I'm like driving by like the dentist's office and stuff, heading down towards like the trolley tracks and stuff. And this guy's like, I want to dedicate this song somebody told me to this person because, or to my buddy, because I guess his buddy like hooked up with a transvestite and he didn't tell him. So this was their way of telling him, you know, somebody told me that you had a boyfriend that looked like a girlfriend, you know, and like that was the whole thing. And I just remember that's really fucking funny that they're telling their buddies that they hooked up with a tranny because of, you know, through this song. So, but yeah, that's my first kind of real distinct memories of the album. And you know, I think it's kind of important to let the listeners know here too. None of us truly had that like normal college experience per se. You know, Jeff, you were closest of the four of us, but none of us went really to like a major school and lived on campus and had the dorm room experience and kind of did all that. So like we were all kind of our own like college friends, really. Mm-hmm. And you know, the parties and stuff and the partying that we did was really like what our college parties would have been like. So, you know, us all kind of discovering this album around the same time and kind of through each other, you know, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, especially when you think about like the perception of it, because just to be true, I have a note on here that I feel like this album has kind of been co-opted by white dudes in fitted baseball caps at frat parties. At least it was at the time that it came out. It's like, oh my god, yeah, Killers, bro. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I like it. But no, because you like it, I feel like I have to like it less. You know, one of those types of deals. But yeah, same thing. Somebody told me on the alternative station here in Pittsburgh. I remember distinctly being in my car when I heard that intro for Somebody Told Me. And I have a soft spot for synthesizers. So immediately when you hear a synthesizer, I'm like, go on. And the song was a banger, you know, and it still is. It's overplayed banger because we've all heard it 150,000 times since it came out. But putting yourself where you first heard it, it was enough for us to still be talking about it to this day. So fun stuff. But you know what? I'd say if the other guys are totally okay with this, I know that I have one major note is that I am unable to hear this album, nay, this band, without thinking of Mac. I equate the Killers to Mac in my heart and my mind. There's been times where you've had control of the jukebox or the iPod at a party back in the day, and fucking songs from this record would be amongst the things you would put on.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely. So what I would like to do is what we do here on the show is we kind of go through the album track by track, talk about our loves, our hates. The highlight of the Muse episode for me personally, listening to it back, was Jeff saying hoodoo, more like
hoodoo's doo-doo.
So, Mac, if you would lead us, be our shepherd through the fields of Hot Fuss, and as we discuss this bad boy track by track, would you do that for me?
Gentlemen, I'd be happy to. Yeah, there was, you know, what we'll take you a little bit back, everybody. Take you all the way back to the early 2000s.
Ooh.
When the first generation iPod was first
black
released.
and white screen.
That's right. Back when most music was still owned on CDs. Mm-hmm. You know, and the only things you could do on your iPod were download your CDs onto it and then purchase a couple of songs here and there. So yeah, every time that I had control of the jukebox when we went to a bar, or if we're playing one of my playlists, there's absolutely 1, 2, or 3 songs from this album that definitely showed up. I have this album, guys, and to our wonderful listeners. You know when you have that. You have those conversations with people, and you know, maybe this is more our generation now, not necessarily, you know, the younger generations. Like, if you're on a deserted island and you can only take 3 albums with you, or there's only 5 albums with you that you would have to listen to over and over again, what would it be? This was always on my list. This album. This is one of my top 5 because I think from start to finish, I think it's a very strong album. I also have the re-release that has these songs, Glamorous Indie Rock and Roll on it, which I love. The Ballad of Michael Valentine, which I love. Just kind of adds to it, right? But we'll go ahead and kick things off here. Let's go ahead to track one. Jenny was a friend of mine. First song off the album. It kind of lays in that Vegas feel to it, right? And you know, there aren't a lot of, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong here, you don't have a lot of bands that have come out of Vegas.
Not in the alt.
Not in that genre.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I think I would be able to say is they're the definitive alternative Vegas band. You have a lot of LA sounds. Everyone knows what an LA sound is. They pick a genre and say LA, and you can name 1,000 bands. And to a certain extent, the edgier it is, you want to say that with New York. You can even say Chicago has a distinctive flavor, but you really don't get a lot of Vegas stuff that isn't like crooner, big band stuff, which I'll respect to that. But that within the first minute of Jenny Was a Friend of Mine, it sets vibe. It sets like a definitive vibe that like, this is in retrospect, when you listen to it, you're like, okay, back then, but now listen to it, I'm like, oh God, a bunch of people ripped off the sound from this first song and just decided to do an album. And I'm looking at you, the Bravery. And I like the Bravery, but you know what you fucking did.
No.
You're just like, they started Jenny with a friend of mine. They got 30 seconds and they're like, all right, let's go, just do this for the rest of our lives. We'll just do that. No big deal.
I would like to go on record and just say how much I fucking hate the Bravery.
Yeah, I saw them live. They were one of the opening bands on one of the early Linkin Park tours, and they were fucking horrible. It was so bad.
Oh yeah. They were at an Ozfest that I went to, and I was really excited to see them. And then I was like, oh shit, no,
I remember them at, I want to say like when Lollapalooza kind of came back, and it was Audio Slave co-headlining with Jane's Addiction, right? And like somehow on that card with a Perfect Circle, and some other bands that were on there. The fucking Bravery happened to get on there. And I just remember, like, ladies and gentlemen, the Bravery. And I just fucking left. I just got up and walked away. Like, I'm going to go, I don't have to shit, but I'm going to.
It's like, that's the only time in your life you've ever been tempted to do coke in the bathroom of a concert. It's like, because you got a fucking show. You're telling me you got a show with Chris Cornell and Maynard James Keenan and Perry Farrell on it. And then you got to fucking sit through the Bravery to get to that shit. Like, oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
The Bravery, they picked Jenny Was a Friend of Mine, and they've based an entire career on it. So you could say the Killers definitely defined an era, the Bravery's era, for better or worse. But it's a good start to a record, man. It's a good, solid song. It is on neither my favorite songs on the record or my least favorite songs on the record. It perfectly sets it up, like, you know. It doesn't start it too low to where you're disinterested, but it lets the record peak after it by starting with the song. And this really kind of one of the only other notes I have about the song is that the production on this album is way better than I remember it. This album is better than I remember it being from the time. You know, when this is back when you listen to a CD while you were cruising around, and if you listen to certain songs because you picked them to put on your iPod or a mix. But listening to it the whole way, this is well produced, and it sets a space. You guys know what I mean? Like, you get a whole space the Killers playing, and Jenny Was a Friend of Mine really sets that up for the rest of the record.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the production. So I guess one of the producers on the album had never produced an album before, but it was like a friend of the band. So they let him in there, and the first song that he did, he added like this slight echo effect to Brandon Flowers' vocal.
Okay.
And they played the track back, and they liked it so much that effect is on every single song on this album.
Digital production, man. Like, do it.
Well,
that 12 times.
They were also saying here too, like Brandon Flowers was interviewed, you know, years after the album came out, and you know, he was quoted as saying that when he heard the Strokes album, Is This It? which came out right around the time that their album was coming out. He was so depressed because he heard that album. He's like, man, it just sounded so perfect that he didn't think what they created was going to be able to come anywhere close to that. And, I don't have bad things to say about the Strokes. I have some good things to say about the Strokes. Sometimes when I listen to their songs, I feel like I'm also having a stroke. But I don't think back on the Strokes in terms of that time of music as being as memorable as the Killers. At that point.
I didn't see that comment.
No, we weren't ready for that.
You broke Noah a little bit. Good job.
Now he's having a stroke.
That
Great
was
job.
an involuntarily response. I'll let you know if I smell toast. But yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the Strokes were a trendsetter of that time.
Yeah.
Jones, what do you think of the first track?
It's a good song, man. Like the first minute 15, so good. It's a really good vibe. Like I don't know who said no. I don't know if it's like it's the whole vibe. It's unfortunate vibe shifts a lot, but it's a whole vibe. And I actually feel like even though this is a really good album or a song to start an album with, I feel like it's not the best song. That I feel like there's a much better, more appropriate song that would have set the table a little bit better. But this song, just the beat, the melodies, it's just like you just bob your head to it. It's really enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Well, so
right now, and just put it out there real quick. So there are there's no confusion. My feelings on this album as a whole is this is like a story of two different albums. It feels like
I have the same note.
It's just like I don't know if I've ever listened to an album that starts so good, so strong, so amazingly, and just drops so hard in such a negative, unexpectedly, almost abrasive way than this album. And I was really surprised and a little pressed by it. We're gonna get there, but my feelings on it are not pleasant. And I'm actually kind of angry that I had to listen to this. To be honest with you, genuinely, I was. My notes were very. But anyhow,
it just starts to read like a manifesto.
Good for a song. Yeah.
What was great too, Jones, is that as you're saying that, your camera froze for just a second when your eyes were really big. You're just like
madness,
and then it like clicked over just with your anger of the two different albums. I think it's interesting to kind of know that the way that this album came together. That there's a lot going on in this album. And the guys are often. It's said that this album was really a bunch of demos, just kind of flung together. So if there seems to be a lack of kind of coherence necessarily from track to track, that's kind of why. They really didn't have a other than, hey, we're a Las Vegas rock band. And we have a vibe. Jenny Was a Friend of Mine is going to introduce you to that vibe. And where we're going to go from here, fuck. Maybe we don't really even know. But just, strap yourselves in. Let's go for a ride. And let's see how you feel when we get to the end of this thing. Right? Jenny Was a Friend of Mine also, gentlemen, is the first of 3 songs that the band recorded that was a part of their so-called murder trilogy, which details fictional storytelling of a woman who was murdered by a jealous boyfriend.
Her name was Jenny. Yeah.
Her name was Jenny. She may have been a friend of Brendan Flowers. I don't know. But that song, and let me see, where's my other note here? Leave the Bourbon on the Shelf, which appears on B-Sides and Rarities compilation Sawdust. And then Midnight Show was also a part of that so-called murder trilogy that they kind of wrote. But again, not necessarily having coherence in terms of how the album's kind of put together. So,
Yeah, and also starts the trend of weird, excessive use of first names in the hooks of your song that they like to do on this. I can't believe they couldn't get like Wilson shoehorned in there. Jenny was a friend of mine. Andy is a star. Believe me, Natalie. Wilson owes me money was probably a song cut from this fucking record. It's like, if you ever watch a Guy Ritchie movie, like Guy Ritchie movies, every character refers to every other character by their first name in every line. Hello, George. Hello, Jordan. How are you today, Jordan? Not too bad, George. It's like, that's the Killer's lyrics.
You just did half the dialogue for Snatch.
Yeah.
Just right there.
So, but it's, I mean,
what's the play? What's the culture?
You shouldn't drink milk, Abby. Why not, Tony? Because it's not good for you, Abby. Fucking riveting dialogue in those movies and fucking riveting lyrics in The Killer's Hot Fuss. One and the same.
I will be.
So next we have Mr. Brightside.
We have Mr. Brightside.
Way to rail that back in.
Just let's do that.
Coming out of my cage, and
you guys will just keep going.
You know.
Yeah.
Now,
this song's a freaking classic.
Oh,
man.
It is.
Sure.
It is one of the most fun songs to sing when you're drunk in a bar or at like a karaoke place. And I mean, rightfully so. It's the Killer's best-selling song of all time. And it's a jam, man.
I was at a wedding in December, and to a coworker of mine, two coworkers of mine actually, Christian and Nicole. And this song came on near the end of the night. The DJ played this, and the entire fucking reception got on the dance floor. Everybody put their arms around each other, and at the top of our lungs belted this song. And that in itself, to me, is the legacy of this. It's songs that can get played at weddings, obviously, for a lot of different reasons, and you have memories of them. But this isn't like one of those kind of songs, but, everybody knows it. Everybody knows every single word. Like, the DJ even stopped it for a point and brought the audio down and let the whole floor just take it. And nobody missed a beat. Nobody missed a single lyric of this. This song, so much fun. The music video to this, I think, is great too. My second favorite song off the album. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Strong second.
Mm-hmm. I'm about to jeopardize my position as the true baby face of this podcast when I say that the only time I can fucking tolerate this song, is when I'm fucking shit-faced hammered. Because let me be real for a second. I fucking hate this song. And I don't hate very many things in my life. This song is a weeping bro on your back porch crying because somebody's fucking this girl that they never had the balls to talk to. And they're upset and they quote Mr. Bright. So let me just tell you, this song is the fucking cucks national anthem.
But
this is the national anthem.
That's not the song is actually. The song's about he walked into a bar and his girlfriend was in there with somebody else.
I don't care what the song is.
It's a true story.
I don't care. I'm sure he did. Did he mention Mr. Brightside by his first fucking name like every other song on this record? No. This fucking song.
It was Steve Brightside.
Is one, this is the fucking pinnacle of when I think about the fucking Killers, and I get excited about some of the songs on this record. Now, believe me, I'm gonna get really excited about some of the songs on this record, and then it fucking drags me down to earth. I was like, okay, and then that fucking song stopped, and I forgot that it had happened so early in the record. I, for some reason, in my brain, thought it went right from Jenny into Somebody Told Me, and I had a little bit more time to get prepared from this. This fucking song kills me, guys. I fucking hate this song. Now, if we're ever hammered at a bar again, if it ever happens, and this song comes on, and I'm several shots deep, I will fucking sing it. Of course, because
you hate it, but you know the words.
Exactly.
And that's what Dave's point was.
Exactly. I know the words. I also fucking know the words of the Macarena, and I fucking know the words to the Electric Slide, but I'm not going to sit there and fucking jam it on my spare time. No.
I'm calling bullshit. You do not know the words to the fucking Macarena. You know the dance of the Macarena.
Those are not words.
Hey, Macarena. That's all you fucking need.
You just killed your own argument.
There is no argument. It doesn't need to be. I just don't like the song, and I feel strongly about it. It's the only hit of the Killers that whenever I hear it, I immediately turn it off. And I'm not trying to say that. Here's the thing. Are you ready for this one? I'm not even saying it's a bad song. It's a good song. I just don't fucking like it. Let me tell you what. The English Patient is a good movie that I can't fucking stand. Fuck that movie. Okay. This. Oh my God. Here it is. The headline for this fucking show. The Mr. Brightside is the English Patient of fucking songs. Okay. And fucking take that to the bank. That's all I got.
I feel like you mentioned the English Patient at some point in time during the Children of Men episode, and I think you're waiting 34 episodes to get a chance to bring it back up again.
That's long-term booking. Okay, we paying off. Mm-hmm. There's just certain things you got to do. You know,
Jeff, what are your thoughts on this out? What are your thoughts on this one, Jeff?
I like it. Like I said, it's one of those songs where when it comes on, everybody sings along, and it doesn't matter of age. Like, it's not just our generation that sings along. It's people younger than us, people older than us. Everybody just fucking knows it. A lot of times, I think they don't even know how they know it. It's just they've heard it so many times that they fucking know it. But I like the song. It's not my favorite song on the album, like I said, even though it's their biggest song. But luckily for Noah,
that's for sure the biggest song.
It got out of the way early.
Yeah,
it did. It did.
And it paved the way for much shittier songs that are to come.
And indeed they are to come. It is my second least favorite song on the record, but I would then, because a big thing that we'll bring up in later episodes, because we've talked about in early episodes, is there's a difference between something being your favorite and something being the best.
Right.
I mean, good. Some of us pay attention to that. Other ones not. Spoiler alert for the future. But the idea that that I can recognize that it's not my favorite, but it is a good song. I swear to God, it was in like 3 FIFA games, which may be why so many people fucking know, or an NHL game or something like that. But yeah, it is what it is. But it is definitely not the shittiest song on this record.
God, that's
and I could see it being a FIFA game because the Killers are so much bigger in the UK, even though they're a US based band. Mm-hmm. Like, they've had so much more critical success in the UK than they have here. Over there, they've hit number 1 on the top Billboard charts. Here, they never have.
Yeah, the UK and I think it's Q Magazine. The 250 greatest albums from 1986 to 2010 in the UK. They have this at number 7.
There you go.
That's
unfortunate. Well, hey,
low standard.
Rolling Stone. Look, Rolling Stone has this album rated pretty high too. Top 100
Is it
albums.
In the top 10?
In terms of the 10 greatest album debuts of all time, they have this at number 9.
Oh my God.
And Rolling Stone. So
yeah,
that's also disappointing.
Yeah,
I don't know that I would go
so there's no way they did.
Well,
it could have skipped after track 6. I mean, I don't know.
This is the same. This is the same magazine that, when putting together the top 100 albums of the 20th century, number 1 was the Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. So, I mean, and that means it had to beat out everything ever done by Led Zeppelin, which immediately fucking get the fuck out of here, right? I mean, name literally any other fucking record to come out since the dawn of recorded music, and that's the number 1. Fuck you. No disrespect to Brian Wilson, but fuck you, Rolling Stone. Fuck off. But it makes sense with the UK because, like, their alternative scene is incredible. Always has been. Like the early 2000s, like Kasabian and Oasis and all that shit, like, that's incredible. So to make it big there during that incredible scene, that does say a lot to the appeal.
You know,
but in the same respect too. Sorry, Dave, but I'm also going to make fun of the Killers here for a second. I mean, British taste is renowned to be terrible. So, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. You know, I mean, they put beans on toast for breakfast. You heard me.
100% what I was gonna say. They put beans on fucking toast.
Yeah, you fucking heard me.
Listen, Jones, there's a time in our lives where we'd look in the pantry and all we would have would be fucking beans and a half a loaf of bread. And you thought about it. You maybe didn't do it, but you thought about it.
No,
I
never have beans.
No, I never thought about it. Never.
Yeah, but just going back to how not great this album is. So it was nominated for 5 Grammys and won 0. And if you go back to the cartoon episode, unless you're giving out fucking participation trophies, Dave, which you kept saying over and over again, this album should not be on any list.
It's not a.
Hey, Dave, how many Golden Globes did this
It
album
won as many as You know what? I don't even want to say the end. No, I was going to make an insult about your mom, and I just didn't want to do it.
Early in the trust me,
Wow!
I just backed off.
This album's going to get worse, so
save
it later.
We'll save it
give
for
you a
later.
free one later.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and keep moving along.
Smile like you mean it.
So wait, now the only thing I had to say about Brightside, outside of it's a classic song, it's chaotic. It reminds me of the old days being young. Is that I felt pretty strongly about the theme of it and the ridiculousness of the song that I used it as a soundtrack for one of the music videos that I used to do for the parties we would throw back in the day. And so forever, it'll be an infamy for that reason alone in my mind. No one will ever see those videos ever again, obviously.
Wait.
Because we all have jobs.
Wait. The implication of that is that, do you still have them?
I have.
Of course I do.
Oh,
I gave you a CD copy at one point, Noah. I'm pretty
He gave
confident.
us all copies of them, Noah.
I mean, let me just go ahead and say that bold choice for you to give me a CD and expect me to know
Or a DVD copy,
what
whatever
the fuck it is and what to do with it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we're gonna revisit this sometime. We're gonna have a live stream viewing party of one of these things.
I think we will probably never do that.
Listen, if I show up to drink with you and I have all of our recording equipment in my car, it's gonna be good. We're gonna. Oh my god! Like,
Okay. Well, I mean, as long as we can as a group sit and watch them and make fun of them. Sure, we can do that.
Yes, over the internet.
But yes, you mean it.
There's definitely footage on those music videos, Jones, of at least one or two of our friends, as Noah described, sitting outside the party, howling at the moon about how he could not get the girl that he wanted to get at the party. So that definitely
good. This may be true, but that's all on the cutting room floor, and those were never included. Those clips were never included in any of the music videos, thankfully, because I'm a good friend.
Oh, I would have kept that.
He didn't say it's gone. He just said it didn't make it into the video.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
There's a hard drive somewhere.
Somewhere. Oh my god.
There is
a zip.
friendship.
Well, I have the physical tapes still. I have
DVs.
all of the tapes still. I have them all still.
Oh my god. We're gonna have a conversation about the lost treasure.
I have hours.
But speaking of
hours and hours of parties, hours of it. At one point,
God.
you took more than one occasion. No, you just took my camera and just would for extended period of time.
I have no memory of this, which meant that the parties were very good parties.
Well, I'm sure.
We were 2 bottles of vodka in at that point, Noah.
2 bottles of Vladimir.
Yeah.
Right? You
Half
can't
a
even
bottle of
legally
Jaeger
call
for
that
me.
vodka anymore. Like that's literally they just took what we drank in 2004 and call it hand sanitizer now. Like that's
So smile like you mean it,
Smile like you mean it.
right? So I feel like this should have been like the opening track. I this is my favorite song of the whole album.
this is also my favorite song on the whole album.
It's just got a good vibe, like just everything about it. It's got a roll down your window summer drive vibe to it. And I think that would have been a really cool way to open the album. Not to say that Jenny was a friend of mine was a bad open, but I feel like I would have enjoyed that more in terms of the ordering of the album. But it's a good song. It feels good. But actually, it's funny, going back and listening to this album now, like when I listened to it a few days ago, this is the first time I've listened to the entirety of the album again, like most of the subjects we cover in or however many years. So Smell Like You Mean It, I kind of forgot all about, and it's a fucking jam. I'm like way more than any other songs I thought I really enjoyed previously. So kudos to the Killers because it's composed well. The lyrics are good. The beat, the melody, everything just comes together. And then I have a little star here because it slowly starts to decline from this point, unfortunately. But we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, this is also my favorite song on the album. It didn't used to be. If you had asked me, years ago, what's my favorite song on the record, we'll get to that here in a few minutes. And it still ranks pretty high up there, the other one. But this, listening back, as I do for all of our music things, I listen to it twice. Once in one sitting, and then I pick it apart as I go about my days after that. And this was the one I'm like, God damn it, this is my favorite song on the record. It fucking goes. It's the only song that I didn't know that I knew the lyrics to, all of the lyrics to, until it started playing. I'm like, oh, I know all the words. Why do I know all the words to this fucking song? Okay, let's get it. And it was great. And for how upset I am about Mr. Brightside, and I am upset, it's the exact opposite sensation with Smile Like You Mean It. Good song. Good jam.
That had to be a big swing for you, Noah, going from worst or second worst song on the album to your favorite song on the album, just like that.
Yeah. Maybe that's something to do with it. Like, oh God, no, anything. Like then again, too, after Mr. Brightside, if someone had run up and punched me right in the dick, I might have thought, oh man, an improvement over what just happened to me. Nice. Jafar, how do you feel about it?
No, I agree with what you and Doc said. I love this song. It's not my favorite song on the album, but I jam to it every time. I got nothing bad to say about it at all. It's a great song.
Yeah, I will. I'm just going to follow that up as well. I'll echo that sentiment. I like just the different places this song takes you as it kind of goes through. There is a quite a bit going on in the song, and I just really enjoy it. Awesome. So somebody told me that Jafar, you wanted to go ahead and lead us off about this next song, which is also Somebody Told Me.
I don't know who told you that, but nice segue.
It could have been Andy. It could have been Natalie. It could have been Jenny. It could have been any of them.
Could have been any.
Steve Brightside.
Steve Brightside. Can that be a t-shirt, please? Just Steve Brightside.
What I'll do is I'll get somebody to make a picture of somebody like hunched over, clearly drunk and crying over what definitely is the Whitfield's back porch, and it just says hugs and kisses, Steve Brightside. I think that's a fucking t-shirt coming soon to the Nothing Good merch stand.
Nice,
Steve Brightside.
Yeah. So somebody told me, like I mentioned earlier, it's the first song that I remember hearing from the Killers. I remember it slapping then and slaps now. It's one of those songs that aged really well, I think. Yeah. Even though I still don't think anybody knows exactly what the fuck it means lyrically.
No.
But I love this song. I always have. I stand by it.
Yeah, I have a few notes about it. Obviously, as we all said earlier, it is the first song all of us heard from the band. It still has the vibe. It still immediately gets you jazzed up with that intro. But I got to give Brandon Flowers, Flowers, a little credit. I love when people put weird words in a song and in the hook and make it work. And February is an insanely difficult song to pull off in the hook of a song. So kudos. I also have no idea what the fuck the song is about. And at this point, I'm afraid to ask. I don't really want to know. Dave, if you know in your thing, I don't really care. We all have our own ideas.
Right?
It's like Phil Collins. Did Phil Collins watch some guy? Yeah. Did Phil watch some guy wash another guy drown? We'll never know. Even if he says no, I'm still gonna believe it, right?
It's such a fucking urban myth.
In Stan, they said it happened, so I believe it.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Right? So, but yeah, I would say I would give Mr. Brightside the nod for being the most iconic song on this record. Love it or hate it. We all know how I feel. But God, if this song is so close on that vicinity to being just like iconically classic, where you were and where you are every time that song comes on, and it's a jammer.
Jones.
So 18 or so years later, it's now the most overrated track on the Sour album for me. I was really excited to listen to it for the first time in a long time, and then when it played, I just was like, it's about what I remember. And not exciting. And I don't know if that's because Smile Like You Meant It like really has changed for me. That going to something that I was really excited about and just realized I remember liking it way more. And I'll just growth and maturity and change in how you are, who you are as a person. It's not like I don't like. Again, it's a fine song. It's fun, but it's definitely not what I remember it to be. Unfortunately. Yet again, I'm gonna put a little check mark here. We're getting close to the end of all things here. We'll nod to Halloween Havoc and the awfulness that was.
Oh my
That's
god,
the awfulness that is this album. We're getting real fucking
We're getting
to some bad
we're
emotions.
getting real close to monster trucks. Is that what we're talking about here?
Oh my god,
I
we're
fucking
getting
know the
close to
guy.
the fucking. We're getting close to the Yeti, Dave. We're getting close to the Yeti.
We're
It's
getting
happening.
a giant block of fucking ice.
It's not going to end well.
Happening.
What about you, Mac? Lover of all things killers.
Lover of all things killers. I again, it's hard for me to have some bad things to say about this. Again, this is the first song of theirs that I really remember kind of getting into, and again, just in the chorus, just how absurd that whole thing kind of just was being put together. And like I said, I don't know what it means. I don't really want to know what it means. I don't really care what it means, but it's just, I just really enjoy the song. I mean, this is probably, I'd say this is probably my fourth favorite. The front side of this album, I think, giving it an honest listen to, because it's been a while since I've really listened to this from start to finish, but, the album still holds a place for me, but I will acknowledge that, my feelings about it this far out. It's definitely a tale of two albums. I think the first half of the album is extremely strong. And then, of course, there's the second half, which I still enjoy, but I can acknowledge it's not as strong as, maybe even I remember it. But yeah, I got nothing but good things to say about Somebody Told Me. It's really the thing that brought me into this band. So.
Yeah, and I think, when you look at this album, and, we're obviously going to get into the second half here shortly, but if you listen to the Direct Hits album, which was their greatest hits album, the whole first half of this album is on there, and none of the second half is on there. And I mean, they fucking know. They know it. They know what they did.
They know what they fucking did. Yeah.
But getting to song number 5, All the Things That I've Done, for me, this is actually my favorite song on this album. It starts out with that single piano keynote, and then it slowly ramps, and it continues to ramp. And when the fucking choir hits with "I Got Sold, but I'm Not a Soldier," like, it just hits you.
Mm-hmm. It's a jam, dude.
Yeah. And I will rock out with the windows down to that song every time, like, hands down. It's my favorite song on this album. It was then, and it is now.
It used to be my favorite. And listening back, it got supplanted by a couple of tunes, but it's so cool because that single piano key and then the big swell of the organ, and which is interesting because there's so much other instrumentation in this record. But that is the first time I really feel like your keys, which is a huge part of the Killer sound, right, is the keyboards, it leads full on through in such an incredible way. And then when it kicks in with the drums, it's awesome. Also, shout out to the fact that this song is in the movie Southland Tales. For some reason, it makes no fucking sense that it's in that movie. Because that movie makes no fucking sense. Yeah, it makes no sense that Justin Timberlake syncs to the Killers in the middle of the fucking Donnie Darko follow up, and I fucking love it. And I don't care. So yeah, banger then, banger now.
Yeah, and then the piano, like the keyboard is such a unique component of the Killer sound throughout all of their albums. And I think this, at least so far, this was the first song that there really was a spotlight on that. And I just think it's so well done. It's a great song, start to finish. For me, it's where the album peaks and it drops off real fast after this song. But what do you guys think, Mac, Jones?
Well,
I will say I think that if I may real quick, because I know Mac, I know you're going to go into a lot with this song. Most likely, I'm going to make the brief really quick. I got soul, but I'm not a soldier. It's probably the thing that stands out to me the most. I think it's composed really well. A little too long a song for me. There's a couple tracks on the album. They're like 5 minutes and change. It's like, does this need to be this long? But it's a good song, and much like Jeff said, this is pretty much the end. Like it's a sharp, steep, significant, clear, unavoidable change in direction, composition, lyrical, like everything. Everything's just bad from here on in. But it's a good song.
Just remember at the end, Jones, everything will be all right. Everything.
It won't.
I don't want to give you a
all
spoiler,
right.
and I'm very critical of this record, but I have to disagree on two things. I feel the sharp decline waits one more song because, spoiler, of my 4 favorite songs on this record, 2 of them happen after all these things that I've done.
Thought I knew you. I don't.
You do know, and when you allow me to elaborate, we'll get there. But Mac,
Yeah,
all these things that I've done, slather some of that sauce on it. Come on.
I'm just gonna go ahead and just pour it all over you boys. Just nice, warm, little gooey.
Ooh.
So absolutely my favorite song off the album. What I'll say about it, because there's not a lot that I can say that you guys haven't already said, right? Coming at this point. This is the song that, I would share with people. When I'd be like, you got to hear this fucking band, The Killers. This is the track I'm playing.
Mm-hmm.
Because from that single piano note to the fucking grandeur that the song closes and the build, Steph and myself and a number of my film friends here, not necessarily this group, but some other people I've been in school with and everything. We got a little bit of an affinity for Pitch Perfect when it came out because it was just an unexpected movie that was really entertaining. And there's always a line in there where, they always talk about how the song really builds. And I always say that to Steph, but that's this song. It just fucking builds.
spoiler alert, I do not like Pitch Perfect.
No, I also do not. And you know what? And I say this as respect,
so I have no opinion.
because I'm in the mood to alienate my audience here today. If you're the kind, and I haven't done this in a while, so I apologize to all of us.
It's overdue. It's overdue.
If you're the kind of person who sits and goes, you know what? I'm really in the mood for a
Don't pull it.
cinematic masterpiece. I'm going to put on fucking Pitch Perfect. Then there's only one thing that I've got to say to you.
Stretch. You're not as young as you used to be.
Fuck you.
Noah's going to grab a nice bag of popcorn and sit down and watch The English Patient.
Oh, yeah. The first half.
Or at the very least, Bad Boys 2.
Woo!
Oof.
Spoilers is coming, folks.
But,
Yeah.
when you listen to the song, and I'll say it, the 5 strongest songs on this album are the first 5. And I really like Glamorous Indie Rock and Roll, too. I think that should have been a song that made the original release of the album. It doesn't quite fit necessarily, but this album doesn't fit together. So, if you're just throwing demos and singles together and calling it an album, fuck, put that one on there. It's better than, some of the other ones they left on. But this was the one on the album that after listening to Jenny Was a Friend of Mine, Mr. Brightside, which I had known, Smile Like You Mean It, I didn't. Again, somebody told me I did. And then you hear all these things that I've done, you're not expecting it. The way the song comes together, the way the fucking choir comes in at the end, and they just go fucking crazy, you're just not expecting it. And I just remember, like the first time I'm listening to it, I stopped listening to the rest of the album, which I think, you know, in terms of like Jeff and Herb, they probably felt that way too after listening to it over again. But like, I just remember stopping it because I just couldn't get past that track. I just couldn't. Like, if I go on my old iPod, you know, like my OG, that's song number 2 or 3 of what I've listened to just the most over and over and over again.
Well played.
Yeah, it's a fucking banger. It slaps. It was great then. It's great now. It's going to be great probably for the rest of my life. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta kind of give respect that if you take the first 5 or 6 songs of this record and you cut it after that, it's probably one of the better EPs of the 2000s, flat out, and maybe ever, right? You know, like when you think about just the quality of songs. Unfortunately, as the album goes on, it does take a couple of hits. But I'm going to go ahead and jump in on something here. The next song is Andy, You're a Star. And this is, and always has been, my second favorite song on the entire record. I fucking love the vibe. There's sometimes, now tell me if you guys are wrong. This is a serious question. Tell me if you guys are into this. Sometimes you get what I call sister songs. Songs that have similar vibes. Obviously, they're different songs and different artists, but that's that vibe that inspires that you fucking enjoy. There is a song by the Gorillaz off of the Demon Days album called Every Planet We Reach Is Dead, which has that slow, prodding kind of a feel. And Andy, You're a Star, to me, is the sister song from Every Planet We Reach Is Dead. And I fucking adore both songs. And I just love where this song comes after all the things that I've done. And it's like that song, big finish, big, hyper grand kind of end, all these things that I've done. And then it's like this, dan, 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 dan. It's like, all right, let's refresh it. The problem I have, not to get too far ahead, is that it doesn't pick up after that, right? It stays down, which I think does Andy, You're a Star a disservice. Because if you'd fucking take it, let's say you go with Joan's idea and you open with Smile Like You Mean It. Then you take Jenny Was a Friend of Mine and you drop it after Andy, You're a Star, then you're back up. And that might actually do the songs that follow a little bit, but you're like, oh, what the fuck is going on? And, you know, for the rest of the album, sounds like when somebody's telling you about the time they tried heroin. It's just like, oh, Jesus Christ, can you get to the end of the story so we can fucking get? I'm trying to eat chicken strips here, but I quite enjoy Andy. Not to go hashtag suspiciously specific.
Yeah, that was oddly specific.
On the
there's a late night at Eaton Park, Noah, that you haven't told us about.
Tom's Diner.
Fair. Yeah.
When he used to come with the chicken fingers came on a craft with your sauces.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I used to get the cheese and I'd get the marinara. So you can kind of have a little chicken parm action at 2:00 in the morning, just so that when you inevitably were so wasted that you threw up, you had that acid that burned your throat and your nose, you know, to really make you regret all of your decisions.
Oh, I thought you were describing the last half of the album.
Oh,
the way it made you feel when you threw up.
Oh,
yeah. Again,
wow.
We get there, but yeah, I liked Andy, You're a Star. I just think it got fucked by where it is on the record and what came after it. It's my opinion.
Yeah, I think coming off the previous song, I think it's hard to follow a song with that type of energy, and the energy is so low on this song. I think that's what turned me off from it. Mm-hmm. And I shared with you guys recently that listening back to this album, I don't remember listening to the back half of this album back in the day, with the exception of 1 or 2 songs, which are not this one. And it's just going back. It's like, no wonder I never listened to it. Like it's a different sound. It's a different feel. It's just not as good and not as crisp and clean. So I don't know. Andy, You're a Star, middle of the road. Still a thumbs down for me, but not the worst. But certainly not good enough to get a thumbs up.
Yeah, it's you kind of see this if you pay attention to albums in terms of how they're structured. You're gonna really front load the album with the 4 or 5 songs that are strong. You hope that the band has enough legs to carry the album through, and a debut album should for a band, right? But I think almost always when you have that last song of your strong 4, your strong 5, which usually are always going to be around tracks 2, 3, 4, 5 on an album. You kind of put a ballad in this place, maybe, because you know the energy is going to have to go way down.
You have to bring it down like a roller coaster.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I have no problem with Andy. I'm proud that he's a star. You know, and I hope nothing but good things for Andy's future. You know, so that's kind of my thoughts there. I do, again, you know, I like how the song, it reminds me of like a train, like an engine that's starting with like the da 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 da, and it kind of keeps that rhythm, and I do like how it kind of breaks open near the end when, you know, Brandon Flowers just kind of, you know, Andy, you're a star. Like, yeah. I like when it kind of opens up at that point. Yeah, again, I think you start to see where the album, the tonality and the lack of direction thereof kind of shifts here. But you know what? That's probably, as you said, Jeff, too, this wasn't a fucking like seasoned record producer, you know, that's worked with, you know, Def Leppard or fucking Guns N' Roses or AC/DC or anything. This is us going up to like Greg Staub and being like, Greg, you have a room with walls. Can we record in it?
We'll let you touch the buttons.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we do this on a boat? I like boats a lot.
Yeah. Greg's definitely rocking that. But like, that's kind of what happened. I think in the places in this album where it's strong, you see it's the strength of the band. And in the parts of this album where it's weak, you can see that it's just an experience of the person who's kind of putting it together. It almost makes you wonder what this album would have been if they had somebody who, you know, really knew what they were doing, and probably half these songs would have made it.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Doc.
There's no way.
Andy, you're a star.
That should just be your whole critique.
So I'm going to take you guys on a journey.
Please do.
I went on like a weird emotional journey listening to this album, and specifically the back half, starting with Andy, you're a star. Noah, I respect all opinions in regards to music. I mean, you can like whatever you want. This song fucking sucks, man. Bad. That "Hey, shut up" line, it's like grating to me. I don't know why. And I remember years ago, I didn't like it then. So this isn't like a change. I didn't like the song years ago. I wouldn't say I like it any less or any more. But this, initially, when I had my review listen, this was my least favorite song. Oh man, this song kind of, this isn't great. Because I mean, all the other songs were so good. I'm like, okay, well, you know, you're not going to win every song. Yeah, this is not my least favorite song. It got worse for me. One, what I thought was going to be my least favorite song, and I was sure the album was going to be good. I was so sure of it. Has good groove. It does. It really does. But nothing else. The rest of this album is very bad and fair. Just it fluctuates between okay, background noise, music that you can listen to when you're on a 7-hour drive. So it's just interesting enough that you won't fall asleep, but not so interesting that it's distracting you. It's the back half of this album to me. So yeah, this is least favorite song number 1.
Until you get to the next one that you like.
I got 3 notes to say right now. Number 1, we're enough episodes in this goddamn podcast to where when you hear the rustle of Jones's notes and then he clears his throats, he's about to fuck something up verbally. He's trying his hardest to remain composed, and I respect it. And all this time, man, you still haven't screamed on this podcast. But I right now, like our listeners can hear you breathing. And they should be able to hear you breathe, Doc. And you're fucking doing it. So that should tell everybody what's going on.
This album made me angry. I'm sorry. It just made me angry.
Number 2, the Andy, you're a star at the very end of this comes off to me like it's the only part of the song I don't really like because it comes off like fucking vaudeville. And normally I would never say that phrase about anything because it's fucking 2022. Why am I using vaudeville to describe an alternative rock album? But the fucking Killers did it at the end of that record. And it's like, it's weird. But number 3, I've always thought this, and I still think this. And when I'm laying in my deathbed and my great grandchildren say, great grandpa, what is a thought that you want us to have? I feel like Andy, you're a star is the phrase you make that when you convince some young would-be waiter that wants to be an actor, that all they have to do to be famous in Hollywood is suck your dick. Just after you come on their face, you look at them dead in the eye and you say, Andy, you're a star. And then my great-grandchildren remind me of the restraining order, and they don't know why they came. But that's pretty much what I've always thought. And every time I'm in the car and I'm like, yeah, that's what that is.
Ladies and gentlemen, why Noah is not allowed within 50 feet of an elementary school.
Yeah.
There goes my
Hey,
Senate.
shut up. Hey, shut up.
Yeah, that's what did it. That's what did it. That's what ended the Senate run.
That's one right there. Good way to go. Yeah, but on all due fairness, after this point, what the fuck happens to this record? It really is.
I don't know.
CDs, right? 2 albums. Yeah. Because
you gotta get that shimmy and a shake on top there, Noah. We're on top. You know, you gotta get that going.
Oh my god! Like it's the first half of this album, and I'll include Andy, you're a star because I like it. But if you want to cut it before that for you guys, that's fine. But the first half of this record is like a really good, almost completely groundbreaking alt rock record from the early 2000s, and you're like, the vibe, people replicated this, and but it also, because of great vibes, it stands alone. It's unique. So the first half is a groundbreaking alt rock album, and the second half is a shitty alt rock album.
Mm-hmm.
It is downright shitty, with only one saving grace, in my opinion, that happens at the very end. But yeah, God, I emotionally checked out listening to this twice for this podcast at this point. Like I'm like,
Yeah, I don't have much yet to say about the rest of the album, with the exception of one more song, which is song 10. But for this song, it felt like, because Andy, You're a Star was so mellow, that for On Top, they were trying to ramp the energy level back up, but it just didn't have the same feel and effect as the first half of the album did. So I think it was a valiant effort, but it was still a miss. And it may just have been, the inexperience of the band. I mean, they had only been writing music together for like a year. The first song they wrote was Mr. Brightside. Like, how do you top that out of the gate? So I think, that really starts to show by the time you get to this song on the album, and it continues to go down from there.
Sentiment echoed.
Jones?
I have no recollection of the song whatsoever. Listening to it again, it gets a star from me for being background noise, and really, really good background noise. I don't hate this song. It's just to this. Like, I'm gonna listen to On Top this time. Really, and I'm like, no, this is just noise. And again, the theme of the rest of this album is a lot of it's just noise. Just okay. Get ahead of myself. Yeah, it wasn't good. That's just how I feel about that.
No, it really is. The back half of this record, and even when it works, the back half of this record is essentially Brandon Flowers yelling with his effect, random lyrics, and the band just happens to be doing stuff behind him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good way to put it. He's just like saying that.
What it is.
Just whatever.
Yeah.
Mac?
Yeah, and I don't know that I go as hard on it as you guys are here. I mean, I think the music in here. Again, you're trying to ramp things back up after Andy, You're a Star. You slowed it down a little bit there. We're trying to get tempo back up. I like the synth in the song. I think that's a strong part to it. Again, it's not. I mean, I even just listened to it in full before we started recording here again today. And yeah, I can kind of get with you, Jones, on that, where it just kind of starts to turn a little bit maybe more into background noise. You pay a little bit less attention as we get to this point, but I don't know that I'm going to say that if this is the last thing I hear before I'm put under for a root canal, I'm going to have a terrible experience when I wake up, kind of a deal.
At least you end up on top.
You end up on top, yeah. Just get that shimmer and a shake. I can't break. You're on top. You're on top. Yeah, I not in my top 5 or 6 favorite songs on the album, or not even probably my top 10 or 15 killer songs. But again, it's serviceable. I think a lot of things here too, guys. When you're looking at albums and how albums are produced, and we're in a shift now where we're moving to a place with music where you're probably not going to have albums anymore. Because people aren't buying CDs, even though CD sales were up for like the highest they were in the last 6 years this past year for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe Taylor Swift had something to do with that because everybody wanted to go buy her shit again. But like you said, if this album comes out in 2014 and not 2004, maybe it is an EP. Maybe you only have those 5 or 6 songs on there, and the rest of these just kind of occasionally something they might play when they're on concert because you got to play for 2 hours or something. But again, I don't have quite the vitriol for On Top or anything. But it's okay. If I heard it in an elevator, I wouldn't be pissed. I hear worse things in an elevator. I could hear Kasabian.
Hey.
Well, it's obvious we're not going to change your mind, but as a segue, what do you think of Change My Mind?
Mac, what do you think of Change Your Mind?
I like the beat. I like the tempo. I like the that the energy's high. Again, there's really not a lot of songs on this album where the energy's discernibly low in any way, shape, or form. Again, I like the musicality of the song. I like the guitar. I like how the song leads off with dang, 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 dang. I like how it kind of I like how it leads. Again, it's hard for me to sit here and want to shit all over one of my top 3 favorite albums of all time. Again,
this is your top 3?
Yeah, this is one of my top 3 favorite. Not best, top 3 favorite.
Is there a difference between best and favorite?
We'll be talking about that in a future episode there, Jeff.
Oh, boy.
Well, I disagree with all the things you just said. I don't like this song at all. And it's a shame because if you look at each member of the band independently, like they're extremely talented. Like Ronnie Vannucci as a drummer, he's a fantastic drummer. But I don't think anybody on this album, with the exception of Brandon Flowers, has really like the spotlight on them in terms of let's really highlight what this guy can do and what he brings to the band. I think it all gets sort of overlaid and sort of mashed together in a way that nobody really, there isn't that spotlight where like, hey, let's listen to this sick guitar solo and see what this guy can do. I don't think you get that anywhere in this back half of this album at all.
No, I'm with you. Mac, hey, I know that you really don't want to shit all over one of your top 3 favorite albums of all time, but I'll be happy to do it for you for a minute. So first of all, I'm not going to let that...
Should I lay back and open up my mouth, or how are we doing this?
You can. No, I prefer full eye contact. Make me work for it. Get right up to the edge of is there consent? Right? One of those things. But I'm not gonna let that fucking comment about Kasabian go by, because I fucking love Kasabian, and 4813 is a fucking incredible record. All right.
It's the first time in my entire life I've heard anybody utter the words Kasabian and a phenomenal album like ever at the same sentence.
Well, you need better people.
I'm surprised your audio. I'm sorry to function when you said that, because it just couldn't.
No.
Handle what just came out.
If I could cared enough to go back through the episodes more poignantly, I would do something ridiculous there with the audio. But I can't really be bothered about it after recording it. Usually I'm too drunk. But this is the worst song on the record. this of all the songs on the record, and the songs in the back half of this, that is the worst song on the record by far. Because to me, this is what. Okay, well, we've all been at parties, and I'm sorry if anyone's ever been this person at a party that listens to this podcast, but I'm gonna fucking call you out. Fuck you. We all have a person at a party that for some reason really can't play the acoustic guitar, but brings the acoustic guitar, and he really wants to play that one song that he plays, but it's 2 chords over and over again, and it's like, oh, why'd you leave me? And like, you're like, why? Like, it's a song. This song basically echoes that. It reminds me of someone who's never really written a song before, and for some strange reason, it made it onto a nationally distributed record. What the fuck happened here? And that's the other thing too. I'm having this vision as we're talking about this fucking album. The reason why the front half of this record is so loaded is because they realized that there's a couple of songs, and this is the most acute one of them, that if anyone heard in the beginning of the record, they would fucking turn the CD off. They would throw it out of the car as they were driving down the highway, never to give the Killers a fucking chance again. So, like, let's put all the good shit in the front, because by the time they've got to the back, they've already bought the record, and who gives a fuck what they do? Because I've never been in the car and wanted to punch myself in the dick the way I was when I got about a minute into Change Your Mind. I'm like, you know what? Like, if I punch myself square in the dick, I'm going 70 miles an hour, 65 at this time. If I fucking punch myself in the dick and the good Lord takes me wherever he goes, would it be better than finishing this fucking song?
Can you guys visually go along with me here for a second and just, you're driving down the fucking highway. You're going, just mind your own business. You're pulling up on this fucking car next to you, and there's just this guy, side profile, with his window cracked, just the Killers playing, and he's just
fucking laying into his lap.
Just punching himself in the penis.
Fucking laying in his dick.
Make you feel a certain way.
One hand on the wheel, no eyes on the road, fucking letting fate take him where he goes.
I thought about it. If I didn't have a child, dear God, release me from my earthly bounds.
Oh my God.
This fucking song. It's funny because I said I emotionally disconnected at this point in the record, but clearly I emotionally connected in a negative way to this song.
That is very rageful, and I appreciate it. This is another fair song, in my opinion. And actually, I made a reference to, like, you know, music. It's very road trip music at the end. And it's at this point in the album that I realized that, because I'm listening to it, and I'm just like, you know, this isn't making me angry now, but this isn't putting a smile on my face. I'm not enjoying it, but it's not so bad that I have to change the track. This would be good. You've been on the road for 6.5 hours. You just need something to keep you focused. You know, your partner's asleep on the the passenger side, and you're trying to stay awake. This would be perfect. And again, it gets worse. Somehow, this album just keeps getting worse.
I feel like this would be a good song for a road trip if I was on the way to, like, kill myself in front of somebody.
Noah's like, how do I get my car over Niagara Falls with this song being played at the same time?
I'm gonna fucking show her. I'm gonna light myself on fire. What songs do I play to prepare myself? This would be on the Ritual Fire Suicide playlist on Spotify. I swear to God, I'm tempted to make that playlist and put it on our social media.
Yeah, the Ritual Suicide playlist on Spotify. This week on Nothing Good.
Oh. So anyway,
save that for the Halloween episodes.
Oh my God. We still have a lot more Halloween
topics
to review. There's like
a ritual suicide.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Shit.
But anyway, so more shit follows after this.
Natalie.
So believe me, Natalie. Next song coming up. I'm not a huge fan of this one. I think it just kind of goes in a different direction than kind of the rest of the album. To me, this song doesn't necessarily kind of fit even what they've been trying to do with the previous songs to it. This is kind of usually a skip for me if I'm trying to get to the end of the album here. But yeah, not a big fan of this one.
Nope. That's all I got. I have literally one word review on Believe Me, Natalie, and it's nope. And I cared so little for this song that I put a 0 instead of the O for nope. Okay. Nope.
So for me, Andy Your Star was when I thought any worse. Was, this is definitely like the least favorite song. There can't be any worse than this, and just kept getting worse. Believe Me, Natalie is my least favorite song. Number 2, it took the place of Andy Your Star, which I thought was, you couldn't really do. This is definitely my least favorite song by far. The song is messy. It feels like it's like 3 different songs mashed together. Like, I don't understand when they were listening to it and they were gonna, this thing was gonna go, and they're like, yeah, this fits. Yeah, this is the one. Are you fucking serious? This is not the one.
Yeah. Someone
Believe me, Natalie. The song
crossed, nodding, looking at this
It's basically how I feel about this. It's just 5 minutes of fucking pain. That's what I wrote. 5 minutes of pain. Make it stop. That's what
Yeah, for as long as it is, you think there would be like some glimmer of hope in there, but there wasn't. My parents all told me not to say anything if I don't have anything nice to say, so fuck Natalie.
I don't believe you, Natalie.
I don't like this song. I don't believe a word that bitch says.
I don't believe you at all. This is one of those songs, and definitely On Top is another one of them. And For the Love of God, Change Your Mind. But if someone had brought this, look, you got to listen to this band, listen to this song, and one of those 3 songs, fucking gave me, I would never listen to a single piece of music they ever gave me for the rest of their life. Other songs on this record, like I even feel more positive about Mr. Brightside, as far as like, okay, I don't like that song. I think it's I don't like it, but it's good, fine, cool. What else they got? Right? One of these songs, I'm like, is this your band? That's what I would ask somebody. Is this your band? Yeah, is this you? It's great.
Did you record this in your garage?
Listen to one? No, I don't. Not another one. No, I'm good.
This. You guys remember MTV had this show? Maybe it was VH1 or something, where like they would bring a super fan up to meet a band, and like the super fan would tell the band like what they mean to them and like why their music's so important. And like the show just became this thing over and over and over again of just people being like, there was a time in my life when I just wanted to just drive down a highway and just brutalize my dick so badly to your music. And it got me through some really I just wanted to iron fist my dick just so hard, like, but not in the Netflix show because that was as bad as your song. But and I could see the Killer's version of this being like, hi, my name's Natalie, and I have to tell you about the song "Believe Me, Natalie" because it spoke to me. Like that, and then like MTV's like, we can't have this show on anymore because it just became these are the worst things that happened to me, and your music got me through it. And after the Nickelback episode, really, where can you go?
Oh my god!
But yeah, moving along.
Thank God.
Yes.
So Midnight Show.
We're almost at the end of this bullshit.
We're almost at the end here. Midnight Show. Noah.
I mean, on it, like actually on the back half of the album, I think Midnight Show starts to kind of come up a little bit. I don't dislike. Listen, after Change Your Mind, right? Really, can anything be that bad? And then Believe Me, Natalie is like, I'm gonna try, fail, but try. And so Midnight Show, I guess. I mean, I don't hate it. It's one of those things that's like if you have 4 people in a row, and person number 1 punches you in the dick, And then person number 2 dips their fist in glue and then glass and then punches you in the dick. Then person number 3 slaps you in the face. They're your favorite of the 3 by default, right? And so I would say that compared to the punch of the dick that some of the last songs have been, and that's just a compliment I can give it.
It's fair. Yeah, of the back half of the album, this is the only song that I kind of liked. I don't love it, obviously, but I think part of that is because the previous few songs were so bad that I just stopped caring about the rest of the album. And even if it was, the greatest Killer song that was ever made, I care so little because I had to go through all the bullshit that just came right before it that I can't get behind it. So it's a good song. If it was on the front half of the album, I think it would have done better.
That. I say that too.
But at the end, I think it gets lost because there's just so much shit, and it's the only glimmer of hope that's left in those last 6 songs. And I just think it gets lost in all the muddiness of all the rest.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Jeff. I think it's the song that tries to be the most like the front half of the album.
Yeah.
I think there are parts where it succeeds, and I think there are parts where it doesn't, where it falls short. But solid song. But this is also, in a weird way, to me, the least memorable song on the album. When I'm going through the track list and everything, again, as many times as I've on, as Jones, as you say, the road trips, right? This was a road trip album for me. Mm-hmm. I can look at every title of on this album without hearing it and know how the song goes. But when I got to Midnight Show, I'm like, wait, which one was Midnight Show? That was the one to me that when I was kind of prepping myself for the episode here, that I was just like, I don't really remember Midnight Show. And then here it's like, oh yeah, but yeah, and that could likely, guys, just be because of what you have all kind of iterated, is that there is a drop off in quality, and probably I'm not listening to the album as often as at this point in back half as I would at the front half. But solid, okay. But to me, the least memorable because of probably just where it is.
Midnight Show. Okay, so it's actually pretty cool. I have something positive to say, actually, about this track. Yeah, right?
Oh, that is cool. Let's hear it.
So, this track, new music, in the short time that we've been doing since we've covered podcast, and I make it a to listen to each track, no distractions, no TV on. I'm just kind of chilling on the couch or something where I'm not really doing much, to just take the song in the first time, especially if it's a song I haven't heard in a long, long time. So I'm listening to this album the first time, and I'm sitting on the couch, just relaxing. Whether I'm enjoying it or not, it's like, whatever, we're going through the motions. I'm writing my notes down, right? And somehow, this song figured out a way to be so non-fucking descript and bland and not inspired and lazy sounding that I blinked and realized I was fucking doom strolling on Twitter. I've never done that.
And that's the positive. That's the positive.
And I just stopped myself.
How did I get here?
And I just went, how the fuck did I... The song was over. And I'm like, how the fuck did I get to this point?
Where am I?
So I listened to it again because I'm like, well, shit, I don't remember anything I just fucking listened to. And then I realized that the song fucking sucks after that. But the song is so not enjoyable that I just, Noah, who said, I just checked out from it and just started looking at Twitter and looking at the awful things in society, because that was far more fucking interesting to me than what this album has to fucking offer.
I love it so much. That's so good. Oh, that's so good.
Oh, wow.
And for the record, that is neither a good sign.
Oh.
Or is it a good song?
There really isn't. I don't know if I'd put a good song on the back half of this record. You can have one you enjoy. That doesn't make it good. See other episodes that we've covered. But I'm going to take us to the last track here. Everything will be all right. Now, I have two thoughts about this. One, it's my favorite song on the back half of the record because it doesn't try to be anything other than kind of a roll, very, very anthem chord kind of oriented last track. All the other songs on it, even the shitty Change Your Mind, right? All the other songs have a spot that you could theoretically rearrange the album. You could lead with Smile Like You Mean It. You could lead with Somebody Told Me. You could put Change Your Mind here. You could put Believe Me, Natalie there. Andy, You're a Star could be somewhere else. I don't think this song would fit anywhere else on the record other than the last song on the record. It is almost written to be the last song on the record. And I appreciate how stripped down it is. Not really being super stripped down, but it is just very Brandon Flowers and the organ and a drum machine, and they just kind of go. But the most positive thing I say about it, even though I would even say it's probably my fourth favorite song on the record, only because it tells you that the goddamn record is over. Like, you fucking make it, and trust me, everything will be all right. You can listen to anything else. You've made it. You've done it. You've done it.
Jones.
Jones is staring. He's so evilly staring at us from this album.
I just love the emphatic, just
multiple pages.
Okay. No, we're probably going a little long this episode, so I wrote on this song because I felt so strongly about it. So I wrote that the greatest trick the devil ever played was convincing the world he didn't. So I went through this journey on an emotional level, almost borderline spiritual, because I thought that Andy, You're a Star was my least favorite fucking song. It was usurped by Believe Me, Natalie. And I truly believed that I had found making this was the worst song on this album. Because at this point, by the time we get to Midnight Show, I'm like, totally is actually really an all album, and it was really making me sad because really bad because I know a lot of people, present company included, who love this album, and I don't want to look bad on you and question your taste. So I'm not, because I respect you and I love you like a brother, far too much, and you're allowed like whatever bullshit you want to like.
You're telling James to go fuck himself.
But
oh shit.
Will be all right. Not if I ever have to listen to the entirety of the goddamn album and bring this or any other lifetime ever again, God, or whatever the fuck you believe in. Because this shit, I made a face the entire time fucking song was on. It's 5 minutes and 45 seconds.
Oh.
And I didn't realize I was doing it. Because the song I had a physical reaction to this song. Somehow had become my least favorite song on the album by such a significant margin. It's laughable. It's fucking messy. It's jumbled. It sounds amateurish. It sounds like high school students wrote and produced and played this song. The song is so bad. It is so totally bad that it deserves. Somebody should fire that friend that they hired to produce this shit. Fuck that guy, because he had no business touching this album. That should have been stayed on the fucking cutting floor, or whatever term you want to use in this album. This song, this shit ever again. I don't ever want. And I don't think I've ever felt that way about a single fucking thing we've covered on this fucking show before. So thank you, Dave, for suggesting.
Listen.
I owe you so much for that.
As you've been saying this, Jones, I had to pull this up because I think this is worth sharing. So we've all seen Office Space, correct?
Yes.
So you know when Peter, from the beginning of the movie, he's talking to the therapist's office about how I was sitting in my cubicle today, and I realized ever since I started working, every single day of my life has been worse than the day before. So that means that every single day that you see me, that's on the worst day of my life. And the doctor goes, what about today? Is today the worst day of your life? That's Jones listening to the back half of this album. Every single song since Andy, You're a Star is the worst song that he's ever experienced in his life. So by the time...
And hey, look,
he gets,
I'm gonna be that guy real
everything
quick.
Will be all right. It is the worst song of his life.
I'm that guy, and it's the last thing I'm gonna fucking say about this shit because it's actually a little insanity that people like it. I don't understand it. But for the people who really like this album, with the exception of Dave, who's like a brother to me, to all of those other people who have no taste in music, how dare you?
Oh my god! It took this fucking song to break jokes. Oh my god! So Jafar.
I don't know how to follow that, really.
How can you?
I mean, I also agree this was my least favorite song on the album. Mainly because I was just waiting for it to be over. And by the time we got to this song, it kept fucking going for 6 minutes. And I'm like, I have to listen to it because out of the respect of this show and what we're doing in this format, but I was like, fuck this song, man. It's I don't know. I don't know how you start something so strong and finish so terribly bad. Like if hoodoo was doo-doo, this song is far worse. Like you're walking your dog and you step in shit and you don't know, is it human shit? Is it dog shit? I don't know. And you look at the bottom of your shoe and it says everything will be all right. And you just take your fucking shoe off and throw it over the bridge into a river because fuck that shoe and fuck this song.
Oh my god!
That's where I'm at with it. Like,
I love that the last 3 songs on this album are 15 minutes total.
Oh my god!
I don't.
Yeah, you're never getting that time back.
This listen.
No,
so
that's the worst part. Not make more of that shit.
This episode.
No, Dave, I did listen. It wasn't good.
Has been worth every single moment of this. I just have to say that I've been laughing so fucking hard just going through this and just knowing that at the beginning of this episode I'm like, if I'm on a fucking deserted island and I could have like 4 albums with me, this is one of them that I'm bringing. And knowing that especially for Jones, if this was one of the 4 albums that he was left with on a deserted island, he's looking for the first tree he can find to fucking hang himself off of it because he hates it so fucking much.
Fuck this up. Fuck the Killers, who, by the way. They have no business making music out of that laughable. Shit. Come on, Dave, you know it's laughable how bad it is. I know you love the Killers, but the songs are so fucking terrible.
Though I there's just something that I enjoy about it. I don't know what it is. You know, I can't say I won't sit here and try to pretend that everything that you guys have said isn't warranted, because it is. And I do acknowledge, you know, the absurdity of how these songs come together or don't come together and everything else. But you know what? I still enjoy it, you know. Sometimes, you know, people like to put weird shit and weird toppings on their cheeseburger just because it's something they like, and you know, that's just kind of a preference for me. I just have always really dug this album, and you know, again, not going to sit here and say that I got the same affinity for it as maybe I did, you know, when I was not knowing shit from, you know,
yesterday before we started making fun of it. You're going to say.
No, I was going to say, my taste in music and my exposure to good music and everything has definitely grown since 2004. But look, fuck you. All right, fuck each and every one of you. I like this album. You all can suck donkey dick. Just fuck all of you. I'm sorry.
Just like this fucking album. Jesus
like
Christ.
This fucking album.
I wanna wrap this up with two things real fast. In a one-word answer, and I already know what some of you are going to say. I'm going to ask is this album good?
Let me.
Jeff, no. No, not you. No, not you. Jeff, is the Hot Fuss the Killers?
It has to be a one-word answer.
One word.
Meh.
I will chime in next. And I will say, barely, front half. I have one word. Barely. One Mac. Is this album good?
Yes.
Duck.
Just fucking one word, really?
One word.
No.
And then last, it's a very specific question. And this is just for you, Doc. I want to ask you this hypothetical question. It's a Wednesday night. It's a Wednesday night. And you're, excuse me, listener. It's a Wednesday night and you're walking around. You've had a couple of drinks, nothing too strong, right? You know, maybe a Zima or two. And then you look out your window and there you see it. The Sega Channel. And you know that look, man. You know that look it gives you. It fucking wants it. It needs it. But you've got a family now. You've got a family now. You promised yourself you're never gonna do it again. But then you see it. And its hand is a bag of Arby's. And you fucking know. And so you wait for everyone to go to bed. You leave the back door unlocked and you leave only the kitchen light on, and Sega Channel knows what that means. And you take it to your guest bathroom, the one you barely ever clean because it's dirty like that. And then it happens. Thrust after thrust after thrust after thrust. Because you've got stamina. And it's been a while.
What the fuck's the question? The fuck? What are you doing?
I'm getting to it. Shut up. I'm getting to it.
You got to get the context.
Yeah, it's a slow build.
Then there's another thrust. Then you get that Charlie horse on your side. And then a thrust. And you're going to finish. You're so close. You feel every ounce of love inside you is about to well up at that moment. Sega Channel looks up to you. Tears in its eyes. Arby sauce all over its face. And it says to you, everything is going to be all right. My question is, sub-question, do you still finish? Where?
I will answer your question. No. And more importantly, I would never be in that position.
You would never be in that position. You're trying to tell me here and now, at the end of this godforsaken, the only episode that's gone longer than that fucking album. Fucking Sega Channel showed up to your house with a bag of piping hot, fresh, delicious Arby's.
With fucking Arby's. No one likes Arby's, first of all.
The Sega Channel does. Arby's is they've got some meat, and when as far as the Sega Channel is concerned, so do you. And a hot lunch, wanting you to get a hot lunch that you still wouldn't finish inside, even if it quoted the last album of the song. That's what you're saying to me right now.
Yeah.
You fucking lie where you sit.
That's what I'm saying.
You fucking lie where you sit.
I'm an honest man. You got to live with it.
Well, I love it. What I didn't love was fucking having this go
fucking
for years. So let's fucking wrap this up. Guys, we got some fun stuff in the pipeline. Next week is our first ever fan requested episode. It's our first ever fan requested episode, and it's back in wrestling. A fan, someone we didn't even know before we started this show, has asked us to cover a wrestling show, to review it, and by God, we're going to fucking do it. Because Nothing Good is going to cover In Your House 2, 1995 World Wrestling Federation. Mulleted Shawn Michaels. Mulleted Jeff Jarrett. There's only one wrestler on the show that doesn't have a mullet. Who isn't? Fucking tune in to find out. It's going to be fucking
I'm very excited.
Yes. I'm looking real forward to it.
Does this one have Monster Trucks too?
But it's not the WWE
Sadly,
equivalent of bad WCW booking, because in addition to a wrestling show that actually is supposed to have good matches, we'll talk about it and we'll see, we get a live performance of Jeff Jarrett's smash hit single, With My Baby Tonight, just before he defends the Intercontinental Championship against peak drug-addled Shawn Michaels. Oh,
yes.
Cannot wait.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
And
we got a lot of other
must-see content from us
in the works coming up after that. So it's going to be good. Stay tuned. Is there any other lasting impressions you want to give to the audience?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the damage is done here.
Preferably not about this album.
So you're talking about, the Sega Channel and Arby's and, and Herb. Saw something online the other day that I thought was really funny. And it was in response to somebody just Eileen, wrote, "But where Eileen?" And I just fucking thought that was really funny. I don't know if anybody's ever asked that question. We've always just been so focused on coming Eileen that we just didn't think where.
You got to ask questions. You just got to ask in the heat of the moment. A rule of life. But another rule of life is now every Tuesday we're going to keep slathering hot, fresh Arby's sauce all over your podcast preferences.
Put a little horsey in there too, Noah. You mixing that shit in there? All right.
Right. And you know what? If you guys haven't been able to fucking tell, I want to somehow get Arby's to be the sponsor of the show, despite the fact that I keep mentioning their sandwiches in a sexual context.
I think that they're the only people that would be brother's face.
This is also true.
As a fine listener to Arby's, we have a lot to offer. Well, we'll tune in next time. Stay tuned for the wonderfully canned closing that I do. We know you look forward to every time. All right, guys, we're out of here. Peace.
Take it easy, everybody.
Nothing good.
See you next week.
Later.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. And if you liked what you heard, please be sure to tell a friend or two to check us out. You can follow this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and much more to make sure you get the latest episodes and all of our cheeky shenanigans. And don't forget to check us out on social media. We have our Nothing Good page on Facebook. We're on Twitter at Nothing Good Pod and at Insta at Nothing Good Podcast. And while you're there, drop us a line. Say hello. Enjoy some of our shit posting and shameless promotion, or hell, even check out our merchandise. I promise, it's really sweet. We'll see you next time.